There was a moment this time last year where joy seemed so far away. It seemed like I was here and joy was in another stratosphere. And it really took me getting out of my environment to realize how lacking of joy I was. So, for context, this time last year, I was going through it. I was down bad, really bad. And the saddest part about how down bad I was I wasn't even cognizant or realizing how bad things were. This time last year, I went on a trip for my birthday, and it really took me like 2 days to settle into my environment and how beautiful the beaches were, the resort was, because of the contrast of my day-to-day life. I was so like filled with cortisol, so stressed, so like just unhappy that it really took me days to really settle into how beautiful the experience was. And I'm so grateful for that because it gave me the contrast that I knew that I needed in order to work through what was wrong. That was just so powerful to be somewhere so beautiful and be like, damn, this is what joy is, and this is where I really am at. And it was kind of like a slap in the face of like, you're not living in joy. You're not happy. You have all these things, you have all these accolades, and you are filled with stress and unhappiness. And really, I was just going through the motions of life and I wasn't living. And so that experience taught me three things. Number one, my job was sucking the soul out of me. Like, I'm not even like, I could feel the light within me being pulled out of me. Number two, because of that job, I was having really unhealthy coping mechanisms and I had gained 15 pounds. There's nothing wrong with gaining weight. I want to make that clear. But I had gained 15 pounds from eating from the stress and unhappiness that my job was creating. And three, I realized that I was alive, but I wasn't living. I was going through the motions and checking my boxes, but I was so unhappy. I was so unhappy. Every year, I write a letter to myself, and it's like a birthday letter, and I read it the following year. But in that trip, I was like, oh, I refuse to write a letter in this state. I am so unhappy that I don't even want to carry this energy to my next birthday and have that version of myself read where I am. So in that moment, I made a 6-month promise to myself. And I said, in 6 months, maybe I won't have a new job, but I definitely will be in a better state and I will be able to write the birthday letter to myself from a better place. The vow that I made to myself. It's April. By October, we're going to be in a better place because we can't live life like this. This is not living. This is just being alive and going through the motions, but this is not living. And what is the point of living if you're not filled with joy and love and peace? Like, actually, what's the point? I also made a promise that this time next year, I was going to be in a completely different place. I was going to have a new job, I was going to have a new body, and I was going to have a new sense of joy. And that happened. And so this video is on how that happened. The most important thing is that I got to the source of my pain. You take your sources of pain. For me, it was my body and my job. And I'm like, and also I feel like I wasn't living life. And so from those pain points, I was like, these are the solutions: a new job, a healthier lifestyle, and bringing joy into my life through practices that brought me joy. Then I started this journey, and this journey I call bringing joy back into my life and stepping back into joy. I wish I could say that it was like, oh, I got a new job and I lost the 15 pounds and everything was great. No, actually, funny enough, things got worse before they got better. And so I made that commitment to myself in April. And then July, things got worse. I got rejected from like 6 jobs that I was the finalist for. I got broken up with through a text message. My job got really, like, got worse. And sometimes I think we're tested in those moments because you realize, oh, I'm unhappy. Oh, I need to make a change. oh, things are worse. And it's like in those moments, you're really tested. And it's not the universe or God like wanting you to be miserable. It's really testing your sense of self, your strength, your resilience, and your bounce back game. Because ultimately, life is going to life. So, what are you going to do to take care of yourself while life is lifing? That I feel like was the most beautiful lesson I learned this year was I got me. No matter what, no matter how hard, no matter how miserable, I got me. And like having that sense of trust and sense of self, you move differently. You live differently. You know that that circumstance is impenetrable to who you are. And so that is what I feel like I gained and learned this year. Now, the next part is what I did. I wish I could say, like, oh, I did these two things and I got so happy and no, I did a lot. I got a stress management coach. I was going to therapy. I was doing a daily prayer and I relied heavily on my community, which was my best friends. And I FaceTimed them every day and I was like, I'm so unhappy. And I feel like used my village and my support to put myself back up. Through all these things, I found out that I was like heavily relying on my outside world to make me feel better about myself. And so if my coworker was doing this, I was unhappy. If I didn't get the job, I was unhappy. If I did like everything was focused on the outside instead of the inside. And so when I made that shift of like, what are the things that I can control? How can I focus my time and attention to me and what I can do and how I respond and how I spend my time? That's when things shifted. I had to shift in order for the things in my life to shift. Then I got a little woo woo and I was like, all right, bet if we're only going to focus on the things that we can control, then we're going to double down on the things that we can control. So I only listen to positive music. I cut down my screen time. I like got really strict about how I took care of my mind and my heart because that's really the only thing I had control over. And so I got really regimented on my health routine and like how am I taking care of myself? And that part I actually really enjoyed because I was like, okay, what way do I like to nourish my body? What way do I like to move my body? And that kind of led into like, oh, this is my favorite yoga class. Oh, this is my favorite thing to do on Tuesdays. Oh, this is my favorite meal. And like that I think was enjoyable and I feel like was a different perspective change than like I'm going to diet and I'm going to work out this many times. I spent a lot of time in nature. I did hella yoga and ate really, really well. And the turning point for me was in November. I went on a yoga retreat, and that completely shifted my perspective on health. And I realized you really can't be healthy without being happy, and vice versa. If you're super unhealthy, it's gonna factor into your happiness. And your happiness, I think, is just really correlated to health. From November on, I really shifted and turned my focus inward. And I wish I could say it was from then on that things got better, but they didn't. Things like at work were still really bad. And if anything, they got worse. But I wasn't as reactive. I wasn't as emotionally moved by the actions of my job and what was going in my job. And honestly, things got really bad to the point where I almost had to call HR. And I thought about calling HR, but I was like, no, this is being presented to me so that I shift, so that I change, so that I know that this is temporary. And what other people do is a reflection of them, and it's not a reflection of me. And from that point, everything changed because I was solid. I was grounded. I felt like, all right, bet this is my work environment, but it's temporary. I got jobs on the line. I'm interviewing all the things. And so by that point, I think by January, I knew in my mind, all right, 2025, this is my year. All the practices, all the things that I had done had finally accumulated and I fell in love with my life. I fell in love with how I took care of myself. I made my life, my mind, my body, my heart, all of those things a garden. And I spent that whole year tending to it, eliminating, removing the weeds of the things that just were not healthy and like were really wilting me. And I took myself out of that job environment that was so toxic and so bad and was sucking the soul out of me. I did that, and I nurtured myself with practices like affirmations and journaling and therapy, and really just learned how to take care of myself like a child. Like I parented myself back into joy. And now, a year later, I have a new job. I have a new sense of self. I trust myself more than I ever have. And I think the most beautiful part about it is that, like, now I know I was put in those situations to change. It wasn't about where I was. It was about who I was. And once I knew I got me, I trust me and God to get me out of all of these situations eventually, and knowing that everything is for my good, even the most toxic places, it was for my good. It was so that I could learn self-advocacy and to trust in myself and not let the environment shape what I think about myself. And so that was what I learned, was that joy always comes back. It always comes back. It's just up to you to cultivate the experiences to have joy come back. Because really, it's real easy to complain. It's real easy to just be like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. That's the easier thing to do. That's what most people do. But the point is, how do I change? How do I respond? How do I get better? That is the point. That is the growth. That is the healing. It's easier to be bogged down by the realities of the world. But the point is to grow and evolve and be better so that you can actually experience joy, actually experience it. And so that was my 1 year journey. And I'm in a completely different space, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I'm grateful for it. And I wouldn't take the year back. It was one of the hardest years of my life, but I wouldn't take it back. If this video resonated with you, if you are going through it, girl, same. I was going through it too. And I want you to know that it's temporary and that you got it, and you got it. It's up to you to define what joy is for you and how to cultivate it. And know that contrast is necessary because it's showing you what you don't want, and that's okay. But don't stay there and don't harp on it and don't fester in it. Just let it be the launching pad for something much more beautiful. My name is Eileen. This is my new YouTube channel. And I am going to make videos about the journey that I've taken to find joy, to find self-love and self-worth, and let this be a love letter to myself and my younger self. Thank you. And if you like this video, like, comment, share, post, do all the things. And thank you. Bye.